Thanks for coming back and watching another video with me. And one of the things I can tell you about myself is I'm one of those folks who just loves testimonials. I read all the testimonials for anything I'm interested in trying. And I'm excited to share with you a video from a class where someone shared about their experience in masterful living. Her name is Lorri, and I'm going to share that clip with you just a little bit later. Earlier, I was thinking about A Course in Miracles. Doesn't it sound like a wonderful life, a wonderful title, A Course in Miracles? And of course, most of us are interested in miracles. We'd love to have miracles, but we feel like they're just out of reach. And that's how I felt for a long time, that these miracles that people are talking about are possible for other people, but not for me, because I just didn't feel like I was special enough for miracles. And I got to say, I've talked with probably thousands of people in my life, and that's how most people feel. They feel like this spiritual stuff works for other people. Other people can have miracles, but not me. And I'm so amazed by my own healing experiences that I've had to share with other people, and other people have had even more miraculous healing experiences than me. That's what compels me and inspires me to keep sharing and sharing and sharing. So in my last 4 videos, I covered a lot. I showed how to quickly get started with walking the talk, and I give you inspiration to actually get started. I took you through the major steps and being able to make the changes that accelerate your spiritual growth in a really big way, so you know what they are and that they work quickly. And for me, what I shared is essentially like the secret code that opens the door to awakening awareness. And I also gave you one of the major insights that felt like this huge secret that has made all the difference in the world to me. It really motivated me to keep going. And I share it with everybody who takes class with me. So in case you haven't watched my first 4 videos yet, make sure you catch up, because there's a lot in there and I'd like to make sure you get it. It's practically a course in itself. Now, when people follow the steps in my Masterful Living program, they go from feeling that spiritual awakening is beyond what's possible for them to actually doing it and having real results. That's why I call it real people, real miracles. Real people having real miracles is what my Masterful Living program is about in a certain way. And life goes from feeling challenging to feeling exciting. The challenges are still there, but now folks have this experience of real and clear breakthroughs that they can point to, and they start to have consistent breakthroughs. And that means you can go from dealing with the most basic challenges, like not feeling good about yourself, to really healing your core issues and living a life you desire. For many of us, it's a huge relief to be able to finally feel like we're figuring it out. That's how I felt. The average person in Masterful Living will make substantial changes in their quality of life and transform their relationships. That's key. Course in Miracles tells us that our relationships are the best tool we have for our transformation and for the healing of our mind. And we take advantage of that in Masterful Living. So everybody has relationship healings, and that helps everybody to feel better about themselves, because now their life has more love in it. Even people who are isolated and alone, boom, they start seeing a difference in their life. So these kinds of changes are basic and normal to the program and to people's experiences. I see it year after year consistently. Now, of course, everyone comes into the program to work on their own specific core issues and concerns, and the things that are really bothering them that they haven't been able to shift on their own. That's always a goal for everybody, and that's Lorri. She's the one I'm going to share the clip with. Lorri felt when she started, she felt especially bad. You could say she was in trouble in a lot of ways, emotionally, financially, mentally. She had a lot of self destructive habits with self medication, like I used to, like a lot of people do, with food and different things like that. And her relationships made her very unhappy. Her finances weren't great at all. And she didn't like her body. So she was self medicating with food, and that was an issue for her, and it affected her body and how she felt about herself. I would say that she felt like she was failing on all levels. And I remember feeling that way too. A lot of spiritual folks feel that way, and they keep it hidden because it doesn't seem very spiritual. I certainly kept it hidden. I can remember when Lori started in the program, life was hard for her. When she first joined, she knew she was the one making it harder for herself. And she just felt like she was failing at living life. And she really, really wanted to have a stronger connection with spirit. But she couldn't see how to shift it in her mind, even though she'd been studying spirituality for many years. And she was already very intuitive. She didn't have the inspiration or the motivated motivation until she learned how to walk the talk and live the love in her program. Now, what Lori did was she had this willingness to do something different. And she's had great results, which I'm going to share with you in this excerpt from our recent Masterful Living class. One more thing I'll tell you about Lori before I show you the clip is she stayed in the program for a second year, and then she went into my spiritual counseling training and certification program. So I know her really well, and I've really seen her work the program. And it's just a beautiful example of how regular people who really do not feel good about themselves can make exceptional changes, that this is normal in our program. So now she's working on her dream job, in her dream job as a spiritual counselor. She graduated my certification program. She did all of that. And she has her own thriving business as a spiritual counselor. I've watched her build it. She still does tarot card readings, but she was able to give up her job as a massage therapist, which was one of her goals. Oh, and she's teaching classes now too. So she used to be dependent on that massage therapist income, and she couldn't see how she'd ever be able to let that go. But she did the work, and Spirit helped everything fall into line for her because she was willing to follow the step by step program. So let's listen to what Lori has to share.
I would say my first year in Masterful Living, I was there at every class, but was I present to what people were sharing? And was I present to the teachings all the time? No, I wasn't. I got better at it, but I can tell you, if I don't know, I just look back on it and I think if I could do it and get this far, anybody can. Like, there's nothing that makes me special. You know, I I just look back on my prayer partners during year one and I'm like, God bless you for putting up with me. Like, wow. You know,
What did
I
you put up with?
I was not a good listener at all. At all. It was always about me. The story always got turned around. Someone would share and I would go, I know exactly what you mean. That happened to me when blah 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 blah. You know, I was very defensive. Um, I was a giant cry for love. That's the most loving way I can put it. And people who just met me with, they continued to meet me with love. And I even remember sitting through the spiritual counseling training intensive and watching you work with somebody during the intensive. And in my mind, I'm like, ask them this, tell them to do this. What about this? And it was such a different world to learn how to listen deeply to somebody. So even that, the abundance of the softening I've received since, being part of this community. Yeah. When I joined Masterful Living, I was at a really low point in my life. I was probably at the lowest point I had ever been in my life. I had pushed away all relationships in my life. I could barely tolerate being around people, period. I was blaming everybody else. My relationship with my family wasn't good. I was living from paycheck to paycheck. I remember when I joined Masterful Living, I joined because I got the yes, but I put my first payment on my credit card, which was almost maxed out at the time, because I kept getting a yes. And I thought, all right, I'm going to do it. And I felt very guided, and I did that. And every month after that, the money just showed up to pay for. I had it switched over to my bank account right after that, because I found that I didn't need to put it on my credit card balance. During the year, shortly after that, you talked about a topic that I had heard a little bit about because I had gone to church throughout my life, and I had heard about this concept called tithing. And I had never really listened before. And for some reason, that night when you were talking to our year one class, I had this thought. I thought, you know what? I have nothing left to lose. Let me just try. I'm gonna test this teacher out. I'm gonna see what happens if I do this. And so I started at that point just tithing 10%. And at the time I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You don't have enough money. You're living paycheck to paycheck. What are you doing? And I did it. And I found that every time I would tithe something, I'd get a new client, or I'd get 2 new clients, or I'd get 3 new clients. And I wasn't doing it for that reason. I was just watching it unfold. And I went to probably a year and a half later, I went to the spiritual counseling training intensive. I was still working on abundance. I got the next message from Spirit regarding abundance. And that message was, I was asking for abundance, but I was dictating how it had to show up. Like, okay, Spirit, I would like abundance. Here's my list of what it has to look like if I'm going to notice it. I have to have 20 clients. It has to come to me this way. And I had just this message from Spirit, like, stop telling me how to make it show up. Just allow it. And it was such an epiphany at that moment, just to be in the flow, just to allow it, not to try to push it or find it or look for it, just allow it. And in that moment, I had an affirmation that I started working with, which was, Spirit, I will love whoever you put in front of me. You're going to take care of the financials because I can't deal with it anymore. I'm going to love whoever you put in front of me. And I'm going to be grateful, and I'm going to start to notice what's coming my way. And it didn't matter if it was at the grocery store that I met a checkout clerk. It didn't matter who was put in front of me. I really started paying attention around how I was connecting with other people. And I was still it was still at the very beginning of my spiritual counseling training intensive. So I was still advising people and trying to fix them and thinking I was right and other people were wrong. I was still working my way, and I still am working my way through all of that. The more I was willing to get into my heart, the more I was willing to join and connect with other people, it just was a snowball effect. And my income first doubled and then it tripled. And I lost my fear around finances. It was just gone one day. I realized I know it's going to show up. I broke my leg during this time and I had a very physical job and I felt completely relaxed. As soon as I couldn't do that job, my phone blew up with people that wanted readings and spiritual counseling. I never went back to the other job. It just showed up, continued to show up. And 6 months ago, I paid off, I have no credit card debt anymore. I have I have money in savings. And I just look back on that time and I think the only thing I did was worked on forgiveness. I worked on allowing, I worked on the flow, and I tithed. And I tithed to this day. Never stopped once I started. And even just this weekend, I got the message from Spirit, okay, Lorri, you're not in lack around finances anymore, but you're in lack around time. You keep trying to dictate to me how much time something's going to take. You never have enough time to do this or that. Now you're going to hand that one over to me. And I was shown what tool to use, and I've started using that since Saturday. And I've had an abundance of time and abundance of money show up in the past 3 days. And it's just been so much fun riding that flow. And it came full circle today because at the very beginning of this, I just never talked to my brother, and I could spend probably 5 minutes together in a room. Today, a woman reached out to me and said, I work with your brother. I'd like to schedule a reading. She had a reading with me today. I get this text from my brother this afternoon. Hey, so-and-so came to you for a reading. She said it was really great. And when I started Masterful Living, my brother made fun of me for what I did. So I've just seen it continue to pick up momentum, and I'm just so grateful because I know that the tools in Masterful Living have been the reason, the forgiveness letters, the working on opening up my heart, the looking at my lack mentality, Ho'oponopono, every single thing that I have used, the deep desires, the divine experiment, and that one simple thing, just handing it over, like saying, I'm not going to look at this anymore. I have no time for this. Put people in front of me. I'll love them. That completely changed my life. So that's my story.
Can't you just see how Lorri glows? She's really happy in her life now. And like Lorri said, when she joined Masterful Living, she was at a really low point in her life. Now her high points keep getting higher, and she's excited for what's to come. She keeps setting goals and achieving them year after year. I've watched her do it. Of course, Lori's experience is uniquely her own because she had her specific issues she was working on. But the level of her success is normal for people who enter my program. That's what makes it so exciting. Like anything else in life, you get out what you put in. It's true that Lorri was really resistant for a long time. She was, but she was also still willing. She didn't give up. I remember she shared in the beginning that she would self medicate with eating chips and snacks all through our class, right? Because she wasn't on camera. And it was a big breakthrough when she started to wait until after the class to self medicate with her snacks. And then bit by bit, all of that fell away. And of course, she's lost a lot of weight, not because she dieted, but because she's changed her mind about herself. And so her habits and lifestyle have naturally adjusted to fit the changes in her beliefs about herself. Her life is very different. Her relationships are very different. In the beginning, she hardly spoke to her brother. She talked a little bit about that. She hardly ever saw him or his family because they didn't get along at all. He made fun of her. Now they visit and they stay in touch with each other, and they can visit with each other for days at a time. They actually enjoy their relationship. They're connected. And that's really important to Lori because they don't have their parents anymore. Healing family relationships and improving marriages, people falling in love and getting married, all the ways that they let more love into their life is a huge part of this program because I am 100% convinced that love is the healer of our life. It is the only healer of our life because love is what we are. When we remember that we are love and we start to extend love more fully, love ourselves more fully, everything in our life changes. So, this is a program of how to actually do that because everyone can use improvement in their relationships. Everyone. So, most people who come into Masterful Living, because there's so much support, they begin gaining momentum right away. That's the beauty of this program. And relationships is a key place where many people see that momentum happening right away. And, I'll be honest with you, I don't feel like I invented or designed this program myself because I couldn't have. I'm just not that smart. I couldn't see into the future of all the ways that the things I've been guided by Spirit to do would really miraculously help every single person in this program transform their lives if they're willing. And I've done what Spirit directed me to do, and we've been improving the program every year since the first year in 2009. We started January 1st, 2009. And we have people all over the world in Masterful Living and all different time zones. And we have created a way for everybody to experience their magnificence more and more. Now, registration is about to open for Masterful Living, and I'd like to invite you to begin thinking about the main things you would like to shift in your life if you had a step by step program to show you precisely how to do it. What difference would it make in your life to have those areas that bother you or where you feel like you're not having the life you'd like? What difference would it make for you to have those areas change? And one person I think of is Miles and how unhappy he was in his marriage and what a difference it made for him to let go of so much shame and worry. He particularly worried about money, being, a breadwinner. And, it's interesting. If you'd like your close relationships to really change, and if you think it depends on your partner changing, I love what Miles shared with us in class. So imagine how differently every day would feel if your relationships felt closer, more loving, more intimate, more caring. For years, Miles thought he could be happy and have an improved marriage only if his wife would change. That's pretty normal. Like everybody else, we think if they change, then I'll be happy. But he discovered that when he actually changed his mind about his wife, she began to change miraculously. It worked for him. He didn't see that coming. So consider how differently you would feel about yourself if you felt like you knew you were making good choices and loving choices and taking good care of yourself and using your time, your energy, and your money wisely. What difference would that make to you in your life? And consider right now, how much energy do you currently invest in feeling guilty or angry or upset in any way? And what do you do to cope with that? Do you escape your feelings? Do you isolate from other people and self medicate like I used to do? Do you just feel like there's something wrong with you, that you're not good enough, that you're unworthy, that maybe you're a bad or an evil person? I used to feel this way, and so many spiritual students do, but they keep it secret, like I was saying. What does all that really cost you? Most of us don't want to think about it. We don't want to think about it financially. We don't want to think about it energetically or emotionally. It's too much. But we know it's a lot. And you can get that time and that energy back and use it well and feel good about it. And the same with your finances. Think about what Lori shared. She's totally reoriented herself financially in her life. And that's just one area of her life. And this is what we consistently see. Remember, these are all the issues I had before Spirit showed me how to use these tools and these methods to heal the root causes of these issues. Spiritual practice saves time, it saves money. And you can see here, Araba is a good example of what can happen on a physical level when chronic pain or chronic depression are a major issue. When people see that they really can heal a major chronic issue that they've been struggling with for years or even decades, and that they can have spiritual partners and friends, prayer partners all over the world, support 24/7, then they have the strength to do what they couldn't do by themselves on their own before. So, this is true for all of us. We all do better when we have clear steps to follow and accessible support from people we really know care about us. It changes everything. Now, the impossible actually becomes doable. So, what do you feel seems so hard for you? What area of your life? And would you be willing to do what it takes to shift if you knew what to do and you had the support to do it? Think about it, because this really is life-changing work. It's not magic, it is work. And not everyone who joins me in my Masterful Living program is miserable to start. Many are doing quite well, but they know they could be doing better. And most of the time, they would really like to feel connected to spirit. They've got an issue with trust and faith, like I was talking about in an earlier video, and they'd like to build a super strong trust and faith in God, in spirit, in love, and in their own ability to make the highest and best, most loving choices. Araba, Miles, Lori, they're people just like the rest of us. They had some willingness to see if spiritual methods could change their minds and change their lives, heal their hearts, their relationships, their bodies, their finances. And they followed the steps that I gave them. They leaned into the support of the community, and they had major transformation. It does work when you work it. So I've got something really special planned for those who are willing to make a decision right away. My hope is to inspire you to make a decision now. This way, you can plan on having a program that supports you and you can get started right away and not have to wait. One of the things I don't like to hear is when people tell me, I wish I had been willing to do this when I first got the intuition about it years ago. So in my next video, I'll give you some specific instructions you can follow to make sure you get a spot in my Masterful Living program. And I'll also share some more information about the program and how it's different from other kinds of programs that you might have seen before. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video and consider whether or not the program is right for you right now. Trust your intuition. You can't go wrong. And let me just say, this is my passion, and it makes me so happy to be able to share it with you. Thank you for watching this video.